Rising temperatures are causing glaciers to melt at an unparalleled rate, with some losing as much as 30% of their mass in just a few decades. This rapid melting has severe consequences, from disrupting global water supplies to threatening the very existence of coastal cities. Regarding rising temperatures, Gavin Schmidt, director of the NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies, has the following information.
The world has been getting hotter for decades, but a sudden and extraordinary surge in heat has sent the climate deeper into uncharted territory. Over the past 2 years, temperature records have been repeatedly shattered by a streak so persistent and puzzling, it has tested the best available scientific predictions about how the climate functions. While burning fossil fuels has largely driven long-term global warming, natural climate variability can also influence temperatures one year to the next. However, the recent surge in temperatures is something we're still trying to fully understand.
Regarding historical observations, NASA's Earth Observatory has documented that Earth's average surface temperature has increased by at least 1.1 degrees Celsius or 1.9 degrees Fahrenheit since 1880, with the majority of this warming occurring since 1975. The past decade, from 2014 to 2023, has been the warmest on record. In counterpoint to this, Judith Curry, former professor and chair of the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the Georgia Institute of Technology, says,
"While there is no doubt that the Earth's climate is changing, the extent to which human activities are responsible for this change is still a matter of scientific debate. Historical temperature records show periods of both warming and cooling that occurred long before industrialization. It's important to consider natural climate variability and other factors that may contribute to rising temperatures, rather than attributing all changes solely to human influence."
It's time to take a closer look at the locations that are most at risk of disappearing under melting glaciers. From towering mountain ranges to remote island communities, these areas are facing unprecedented threats to their very survival. As we explore these locations, it's essential to understand the cultural, economic, and environmental significance they hold, and the catastrophic consequences of their disappearance. As we dive into the locations most vulnerable to glacier loss, it's essential to recognize the interconnectedness of our planet's ecosystems. The fate of these regions is inextricably linked to our collective future, and it's time to take a hard look at the devastating consequences of climate inaction. In the following locations, we'll explore the stories of communities fighting to preserve their way of life, and the ecosystems that are crumbling under the weight of climate change. The first location is the Tian Shan Mountain range in Central Asia, home to the Tian Shan Glaciers that supply water to millions of people. These glaciers have been losing mass at an alarming rate, with some projections suggesting they could disappear entirely by 2050. The impact on regional water supplies, agriculture, and energy production would be catastrophic, displacing millions of people and threatening regional stability. According to Daniel Farinotti, a glaciologist at the GFZ German Research Center for Geosciences,
glaciers in the Tian Shan Mountain range have lost about 27% of their mass and 18% of their area over the past 50 years. This significant loss is primarily driven by increased summer melting, likely linked to both general climatic warming and natural climate variability. The rapid retreat of these glaciers is concerning, especially considering their crucial role in providing water to the surrounding regions. If this trend continues, we could see even more dramatic reductions in glacier mass by the mid-21st century.
in the Andes mountain range, glaciers are vanishing at an unprecedented rate, affecting not only local ecosystems but also global food supplies. The Quelcaya ice cap in Peru, for example, has lost over 20% of its mass in just the past 40 years. The consequences of its disappearance would be felt far beyond the Andes, impacting global food prices and availability. We spoke to Jeff DeBelco, professor of security and environmental studies at Ohio University, regarding the effects of melting glaciers in the Andes mountain range.
The melting of glaciers in regions like the Andes and the Tian Shan Mountain range will have profound impacts on local populations, particularly those who rely on glacial meltwater for their water supply. This could lead to increased competition for water resources, potentially causing conflicts and exacerbating geopolitical tensions in already vulnerable regions. The loss of these glaciers also threatens the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on agriculture and hydroelectric power, which could lead to mass migrations and further strain international relations. It's crucial for global leaders to address these challenges collaboratively to prevent future crises.
In the Himalayas, the Tian Glacier in Nepal is one of the most vulnerable, with some projections suggesting it could lose up to 65% of its mass by 2050. This would have devastating consequences for local communities, affecting freshwater supplies, agriculture, and energy production. The Alaskan wilderness is home to some of the most breathtaking glaciers on the planet, but even these natural wonders are not immune to the effects of climate change. The Mendenhall Glacier, for example, has retreated by over a mile in just the past 50 years, with some projections suggesting it could disappear entirely by 2050. The loss of this glacier would not only alter the local landscape but also have significant implications for global sea levels. The most vulnerable location of all is the West Antarctic ice sheet, a region so massive it could raise global sea levels by over 3 feet if it were to collapse entirely. The Thwaites Glacier, in particular, is often referred to as the Doomsday Glacier due to its potential to accelerate global sea level rise. If it were to collapse, the consequences would be felt across the globe, displacing millions of people and threatening coastal cities. According to Professor Mathieu Morlighem, a leading glaciologist at Dartmouth College and a key researcher in the International Thwaites Glacier Collaboration, ITGC,
while the glacier's collapse is less likely to occur this century than previously thought, it remains a significant concern due to its contribution to global sea level rise. Thwaites Glacier, often referred to as the Doomsday Glacier, holds enough ice to raise global sea levels by over 2 feet if it fully melts. Although recent studies suggest that the most extreme predictions for this century are less likely, the glacier's retreat will continue to pose long-term risks for coastal communities worldwide. I must emphasize the importance of accurate projections and continued vigilance in understanding polar ice dynamics to prepare for the challenges ahead.
The disappearance of these glaciers would have far-reaching implications for global populations, from rising sea levels to disrupted food supplies and economic instability. The consequences of climate inaction are dire, and it's imperative that we take immediate action to reduce our carbon footprint and transition to renewable energy sources. In conclusion, the disappearance of these glaciers is a ticking time bomb, threatening not only local ecosystems but entire global systems. It's imperative that we take action now to reduce our carbon footprint, transition to renewable energy sources, and protect these natural wonders for future generations. Thanks for watching, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this critical issue in the comments below. If you're passionate about climate change and environmental issues, be sure to check out our other videos where we explore innovative solutions to these pressing problems.